Chapter 9. Ethan asks, "Go home? With you? What do you mean?" "Just what I said. Why should you stay here? You told me you wanted to get a job. Why not get one where I live?" "A job's a job." Leah's excitement mounted as she tossed out possibilities. "Where should I live?" "With me, of course. With me." "Ush," she corrected. "Me, Mom, and Neil. The house is huge. Why, there's a whole other house in the basement. Bedroom, bath, family room. We never even go down there. Mom hates basements." Leah waved her hand dismissively. "We have the space, and you could live in it." "My father would not allow." "You're 18, aren't you?" Leah interrupted him. He had his 18th birthday in October. "When you're 18, you don't need your father's permission. You can just leave." This is what Eli did. Ethan looked concerned. It hurt Pa deeply. "And then another thing. If you want to find Eli, it would be easier if we look for him together. No telling where he is or how hard it's going to be to find him, but this way you can get the information more quickly because you'll be right there when Neil gets it. You won't lose days waiting for my letters." Leah could tell that Ethan was pondering her suggestion. Having him close by her again was just what she dreamed about all these long months. "Well, what will your mother say?" Ethan asked. Leah knew it would be a tough sell, but if Ethan was already there, it would be harder for her mother and Neil to say no. "Look, Ethan, let me worry about my family, and I don't know, Leah." His brow puckered. She suddenly remembered Neil's barn full of antique autos. Perhaps Ethan could help Neil maintain them. Neil can't handle even simple chores around the house anymore. Maybe you could help out. There's lots of stuff for you to do. Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes, I would have to help somehow. I'll be in school all day, and once you get a job, you'll be working, so it's not like we'd be in each other's way or anything. We'll be apart, but still together." Leah shot him a broad smile. "And if we cannot find Eli?" "Don't give up before we even start," Leah chided. Ethan leaned back in his chair, hooking his hands behind his head. He stared out the window for a long time. Leah's heart thudded. She knew he did nothing in haste. But the more she considered her plan, the more sense it made. They could search for Eli without the frustration of distance between them, and she could have Ethan in her world. She had lived among the Amish, now it was Ethan's turn to live among the English. "When would we leave?" Ethan asked quietly. Leah licked her dry lips. "The sooner the better, I think. I have to start school the day after New Year's, and you need to get settled in. Adjusted." She didn't add that she really wanted to get home before her mom and Neil returned from Detroit. If Ethan was already moved in by the time they returned, it would be harder to throw him out. It was urgent that she get to her mother first thing before she had time to blow a fuse. "I want to go with you, Leah." Ethan's simple acceptance startled her. She had expected more resistance. "Well, okay then. You'll drive home with me. If we leave tomorrow, we can spend New Year's at the house. We can watch the ball drop on TV." He looked puzzled. "What ball?" While she was growing up, Leah had sometimes stayed up until midnight to watch the Times Square crowds in New York welcome in the new year. Of course Ethan didn't know about the yearly ritual. "I'll tell you about it on the drive home." Ethan stood. "Come." "Where to?" "To go tell my parents." Leah felt a jolt as reality hit. "Ethan, I don't know if you should tell them. I cannot just sneak away." "But they may get angry and try to stop you. Maybe you should just write them after you get home with me." "I cannot. I must tell them to their faces, and you must go with me." She swallowed hard. "I could wait in the car, keep the motor running." He gave her a little smile. "No, Leah, you must be by my side, and you must tell them of your offer of a place to stay." "But not about Eli?" "No. That will be our secret." Nervously, Leah stood. "Are you sure you want to go tell them right now?" "They are together tonight. It is best to go now." With her heart thudding like thunder in her ears, Leah followed Ethan out into the cold, dark night. Leah fought an intense internal battle as she and Ethan drove out to the farm. Now that she was about to get her way, she was scared. Was she being selfish? Would Tilly hate her? She'd come into Ethan's tidy little world and turned it on its edge. She was English, everything the Amish held in low regard. Now she was luring Ethan away from his family and the only way of life he'd known. By the time they arrived at the farmhouse, Leah felt sick to her stomach. But she couldn't turn back now. She made Ethan promises that she had to keep them. They found his parents alone in the kitchen beside the wood stove. Jacob Longacre had the big German Bible open on his lap, and Tilly was sitting in an old rocker doing cross-stitch by the light of an oil lamp. Startled by Ethan and Leah's appearance, Jacob asked, "Has something happened?" Nothing bad, Pa, Ethan said. He glanced around the shadowed room. Where are the others? Oma and Opa have retired. The children are visiting Sarah, Tilly answered. Leah held on the edge of the countertop, certain her knees would give way if she didn't. She saw Jacob scrutinize his son and realized that Ethan was dressed English. Without preamble, Ethan announced to his parents, I have decided to go away. The room was silent except for the wood crackling in the stove. Where will you go? Asked his father. Leah has asked me to her place. I am going. Leah expected an explosion of temper, but she was surprised. Mr. Longegar simply studied his son with resigned, contemplative eyes. Neil and my mother will take good care of him, Leah offered in a breathy voice. And who will care for his soul, Leah? Mr. Longegar leveled a blue-eyed gaze at her. We're not heathens, you know. He'll be all right with us. Do you know for how long you will be gone? Jacob asked, ignoring her outburst. I cannot stay. Jacob stood, folded his reading glasses, closed the Bible, and placed it under his arm. Do what you must do, Ethan. I cannot stop you. As for my work, Ethan gestured to his surroundings. Simeon is young and strong. He is good help. Don't let Opa work too hard. Mr. Longacre nodded. We will manage. I love you, Papa. Ethan's voice was firm. Jacob sighed deeply. Wearily, he walked over to stand in front of Ethan. Leah was close enough to see that his eyes glistened with tears. His hands were big, work-worn, covered with calluses. A lump of emotion clogged her throat. Jacob placed his free hand on Ethan's shoulder. And I love you, Ethan. Be careful among the English. Jacob turned and left the room. Ethan followed his father with his gaze. Tilly rose from her chair and set her sewing on the counter. Leah remembered summer days when they canned fruit and vegetables together, of a kitchen alive with laughter and women's voices. She saw Rebecca's sweet face reflected in Tilly's features. Ethan reached for his mother's hand. I will be fine, Ma. She came closer, touched his cheek lovingly. You are a man, my son. You must make your own way in the world, but do not forget your youth and all that we have taught you. I will not forget. Remember the words of our Lord, she said. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. Tilly smiled wistfully. It is God who calls each man whom he wants for his own. You must know if you, Ethan Longacre, have been called by God to be separate. Tilly turned to look into Leah's eyes. You were touched by an angel, Leah. You were blessed, but my Ethan must search his heart and discover what it is that God requires of him. Do you understand? Leah nodded, unable to speak. I will not be cut off from you, Ma, Ethan said. I will not allow us to become strangers. Leah heard his words as a veiled reference to Eli. She thought it extraordinary that even now neither could speak the name aloud. I will always hold you in my heart, his mother said, just as I hold all my children there. I love you, Ma. She cupped Ethan's chin. You are my beloved son. I have lost 2 of my children already. I do not want to lose another. Ma, the word sounded strangled in Ethan's throat. Take good care of yourself, Ethan. Tilly picked up the oil lamp. It lit her face with an ethereal light. The ties of her prayer cap trailed off to her shoulders, and the dark Amish dress with only the lamp's light on her face, she reminded Leah of a dark ghost. For a trembling minute, Leah thought Ethan was going to turn and tell her to go away without him. But slowly he squared his shoulders. I must get some things for my room. Of course. Tilly stepped aside. Ethan bolted out of the kitchen. Left alone with Ethan's mother, Leah almost fell apart. I'll watch after him, she whispered hoarsely. I promise. I know you will, Leah, for I know you love him too. Leah nodded mutely, stunned by the serene woman's ability to calmly embrace whatever adversity life gave her. So unlike my mother, Leah thought. In minutes, Ethan was back, a homespun sack over his shoulder. Tell Simeon, Charity, and Elizabeth I am sorry I did not get to see them. Tell them I will write to them. I will tell them. He took Leah's elbow and started toward the back door. Son, Tilly called. They turned and she held up the lamp. Each night you are gone, I will set this in the window of your room. It will burn for you, a light to show you the way back home, if you want to come. Ethan nodded and led Leah into the night. In the car, Leah laid her head against the headrest and allowed the bottled-up tears to flow unchecked.